Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Valeria Kogan with us. She's founder and CEO at Fermata. She's a PhD, Forbes 30 under 30, and she's also the co-founder of Smart Amica. So we're gonna talk about AI personalized medicine and everything she's been up to, from bioinformatics to biotech. She's in Israel. I'm in Mexico today. This podcast is presented to you by podpire.com. If you want to start or scale your podcast, go to podpire.com. Val, welcome to the pods. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hi, hey, Charles. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Valeria. My core occupation at this point is that I'm a CEO of Formata. So my professional background is more in biotech space. So that's where I did my PhD studies and my bachelor's, master's. And after that, I was working in several biotech startups where I was leading AI teams. And I started with my co-founder a company called Smart Amica, where we're developing solutions for assisting oncologists with managing the sophisticated cancer patients. It's more like a medical business that we have here in Israel, in which my partner runs. And 4 years ago, I started Formata, which is actually an ag tech space. So I didn't know nothing absolutely about the plants, agriculture, anything. So just friends of mine wanted to chat to someone who does AI, and they invited me to their greenhouse where they grow tomatoes commercially, which was a huge shock to me because I had no idea how people produce food back then. But it was super interesting because what they shared is that the plants also have health, which was kind of surprising, and that it's extremely important to keep track of that health. And when they explain like how exactly like these issues appear, it was very similar that it was very clear that it's similar to what was the industry I was in, like human health, and how we use computer vision to monitor patients, and to identify early on cancer and other issues. And so I just came up with the idea that we can bring the technology out of monitoring human health into monitoring plants' health through computer vision. So that's how Fermata started back then. And today we're already 50 people operating in more or less all continents and working with a lot of major corporates, helping them to produce healthier food for all of us.
Let's start with the cancer and oncology stuff. Like, how did you get into this? Do you feel that you've been impactful in that field yet?
That was just, personal interest of mine, like forever. Yeah. Since like my studies in the uni, I was very interested in bioinformatics, which was just starting back then. And we were writing our first code. It funny. It sounds funny now because we weren't sure that Python will be a next big thing, so it sounds like it was a million years ago, however, it was not that long ago. It was just a very, very interesting industry that was just starting, the computational biology coding, first approaches into, like first steps into AI, and all applied to biology. So that was fascinating to me as a like young professional. I met my co-founder while I was doing my PhD studies. So he is an oncologist, a doctor. His name is Dr. Igor Koman. And he had like back then this consulting business, when he was working with oncologists on really, really complicated cases, when the doctor just doesn't know what to do, what's the next step, so all the standard approaches were already tested and they're not working. And this is when the science steps in. And this is the time when you need to do a research and identify that, single article that might be already online that describes some therapy, treatment, diagnostics that might be useful for this particular patient. So, and he was doing this with his team, completely manually doing this research, like creating like a huge study around every single patient. And so I joined them with the idea that let's automate some of that. So let's use AI to help us do the research and help us generate some hypothesis on what can be useful for the particular patient. So that's how the company started.
Yeah, let's say I'd have cancer and feed all my data to an AI. I feel it would give me way more better suggestions than a doctor that checks my file off in like 5 minutes and yeah, recommends me the classic treatment. Could give me a really precise and specific plan to all my needs. It could also take real-time data, capture like everything that's happening in my day and making real-time suggestions. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you're absolutely right because every month I think about like 30,000 of new articles are being published on the like in biotech and biomedical space. And of course, it's impossible that the doctor has just time and opportunity to go through all of them, right? And even for through those that are relevant for you. So of course, we need not I think the need for novel research is as hot as how to make sense of all the research that has been actually done over the past decades, and that we can use every piece of information that might be helpful for the particular patient.
And how did that lead to your other startup? I mean, if you're already investing a bunch of time in Smart Amica, did you have more time to invest in Fermata? How did that happen?
So at some point was well, first of all, we were stupid, and we thought that we can do two projects at once, which was just not realistic. So and at the beginning, I was trying to handle both of them, and then just my focus shifted. So we divided like these two businesses between us. So my partner is leading Smartomica, which became eventually more like a medical business instead of tech business for now, let's say. And I focus 100% on Formata. That's the only thing I do.
Interesting. And that startup, you said that you had to learn everything from scratch. Why did you choose
Right.
that specific problem and did not stay in the health field, for example?
Because so when I came back home from that meeting, that first one where I learned about like the challenges in the agriculture, I started doing my research, and back then it was 2019, early 2020 when we started the company. And back then, the building where I was like sitting, it was full of offices of AI for medicine, computer vision for medicine stuff. It was such a hot topic. And I started just doing research, like who's doing that in agriculture, and I couldn't find anything. Like it was clear that it's not remotely the same scale. So, and it just became clear to me that the opportunities out there. I was so deeply in the AI for medicine. So, and it was clear that, the market for agriculture is actually like, well, it's not smaller at least than the one for human health. And it's much less digitalized industry than the medical one. So it was very clear that there is an opportunity. Now I understand that I didn't do my research good enough, but back then it was, good enough to get motivated and invite a bunch of friends to join me.
But it's quite interesting. I haven't seen an app like this. So it's like visual, yeah, it's visual machine learning sort of. And yeah, it diagnoses what kind of disease the plant has, or if there's a bug, or if they just like didn't
Right.
feed well their plants. Now, this also works like in huge fields. It's like not only in horticulture and protected environments, it also works like with huge terrains, or how does that work?
So basically, the vision for the companies that we are building what we call the eyes of egg. So we want to automate everything that involves like looking at the plants. So whatever kind of environment that is, whatever type of crop, whatever type of task you're solving through looking at the plant, processing that image in your brain and making some kind of decision, this is what we want to do automatically. So we started with pests and diseases because that's the lowest hanging fruit. So this is the biggest issue of the farm for the farmer. 30% of harvest is lost because of pests and diseases, and it's very like clear value proposition. So our technology is only in software, so it doesn't matter for us where the images or videos come from, as long as we can see the tiny, little pests on these images or videos. So in case of drones, we have projects where we put cameras on tractors, for example. Yeah, and we also put cameras, with solar panels in the middles of the fields where they monitor as well. So for us, it doesn't matter. It's important that we can identify these kind of things.
And as a farmer, how much should I pay for that?
So if we're speaking about horticulture, so if you're growing vegetables in greenhouses, so we charge about $500 per hectare per month. dollars, euros. Yes, so that's the price for our subscription. We don't make any money out of hardware, so the cameras farmers usually purchase themselves. So it's a capital investments of $3,000-4,000 dollars per hectare. Also, one-time cost.
Okay, interesting. And how much hectares do farmers have in average?
Depends. So the smaller farmer, I would say that would be anyone having something under 1 hectare, like 1, 2, something like that. And like the biggest customers of ours, they have tons of hectares, like hundreds of acres. So that these are pretty different guys, you know. So 1, 2 hectares, you can be managing like you and your family, you know, and maybe a couple of employees. And when we're talking about like dozens, then this will be like, you know, the companies. So they will have a lot of employees. They will have, I don't know, IT director and that kind of guys. So it's of course very different types of customers for us.
Making the conversions in a kilometer through ChatGPT right now, but I'm guessing this is pretty advantageous. What's the other reason why people use their crops? Like weather? Are you thinking of protecting them from these events as well?
Which kind of events?
Yeah, weather, like a tornado
Oh, weather.
wrecking my
Yeah,
carrots.
yeah, so we do not, of course, we cannot help them with tornado. Yeah, we're just looking at the plants. But you know what's interesting is that why we see like a growing need in products like ours is because of the climate change. So for the farmer, the climate change means that you start seeing the issues you never had before. So if you're following the practices of your father, your grandfather, and you understand how to deal with certain things, you suddenly realize that now you're seeing a pest and disease, which is not new in the world, but it's new for your geography, and you really don't know what to do with it. And not just only like from agronomy standpoint, but also you don't have stocks. Like you need to spray something, but you don't have that in the stocks, you know? So getting this information in time and getting like a quality advice on this is working, this is not working, please be careful, looks like the situation is getting worse, is especially important for the farmers now because of the climate change.
Right. And I'm guessing it's not only visual data, it's like because you're in Israel, this you might be susceptible to this, or because you're in this specific zone, because you're in this mountain. And do you also track like where some bugs may move from one place to the other or some prevalence of disease? What's your full like data stack?
So we are focused on computer vision only in terms of like what kind of data we get from the farmer, and the climate data as well. But you're absolutely right that there is some kind of network effect in what we're doing, because once we are present in certain area and a lot of neighboring farmers use us, we can provide them information also based on what's happening nearby. So if the first guy like in this area starts experiencing this bug, it means that it will soon come to you. And it's really nice actually to see how people in farming industry are actually open to share this kind of data. It's not something we expected, and this is the idea that actually came from them. Like let's share and let's help each other produce healthier and better crop.
So what's next? What's next on your roadmap? Like, what feature would you offer that your clients are demanding?
So right now we are working on yield prediction. So we are calculating things like how many fruits are out there, how many flowers are out there, how fast is the crop developing. It's actually much easier in terms of computer vision task than detecting pests and diseases. But that's something that our customers request a lot. So that's the next big feature for us, helping them register information about their crop, not manually, but automatically through us and without human factor involved in these calculations, and helping them predict their yield based on this data.
Interesting. How do you get in touch with your clients usually, and how do you sell to these people?
So we have actually a pretty nice incoming stream of requests, you know. So every day we get like people from across the globe growing the weirdest things, you know, who want to work with us. We also use distributor network, and we also partner with the bigger companies that help us, like Bayer, Syngenta. These guys are our customers, and they help us also outreach to their customers. So we are not trying to do that alone, and also we are, as much as we can, try to focus on specific geographies so that we can provide really quality customer success as well. Because as you can imagine, bringing some like very novel, like very digital AI solution to such a conservative industry is a challenge. And it's not like, here's the app, good luck. Yeah. So you have to be there, you have to help people understand how to use that, where's the value for them, and help them integrate this new tool into their daily practices.
Why stay static cameras and not drones?
Oh, just because it was easier for the beginning, So as I mentioned, so our technology is in software. So for us, it actually doesn't matter. Drones are just super challenging, I think there should be something new on market compared to what it is there right now, because they're either expensive or, the coverage is actually so low, so that it doesn't bring enough value, or you have to have operator and it's so expensive, or if it's autonomous, it's not allowed everywhere. So it's very challenging with the drones, but we are very, very much looking for great partners in that. And we're always monitoring what's there new in the hardware space in ag, so that we could use someone else who has really cool device for capturing the data for us.
Right. As a CEO, how much time do you spend nowadays going to conferences and winning awards via developing the product and making sales? How do you separate your days?
I would say that sales probably is the major focus for me. Conferences, we try to do something every couple of months. So that in our industry it's a little bit challenging because it's very hard to find like a trade show or something where you can find customers. So it's more like industry events, but we all know each other already. So get to the event where you can find customer is challenging. But we choose those which are where we know nice people will be and we'll have some fun and we can learn something new. So that's the ones that we usually follow. And I would say, yeah, sales is the biggest focus of mine. But right now we are at the interesting moment where I think we have pretty strong product market fit at this point, and we started scaling up. And this opened like a huge bunch of new challenges, tasks to be involved in. And we have two major people who have recently joined our team, like our new CTO, our COO, and onboarding the guys, digging into everything and figuring out what we need to strengthen, to ensure the scale up. This is something that unexpectedly takes a lot of my time these days. So, but I want to make sure that we are really, really ready, and that our customers are happy. And once the like number of project grows, we continue delivering like really great services we do now.
Are you raising funds this year?
Maybe closer to the end of this year. Yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. Well, thanks for the value added today, Val. Where can people find out more about you?
So I think the most information about myself and the company is on LinkedIn. Yeah, so you can find myself, Valeria Kogan, and Fermata also on LinkedIn.